Hello, this is Joe back with another video taking the Cessna Citation Longitude out of Aspen over to Oklahoma City. Very short flight, about an hour long. I'll probably just show the takeoff and landing. I don't want to bore y'all too much with the cruise flight. But Aspen, the taxiway doesn't go all the way down to the edge of the runway. So you'll have to contact tower once you get to the runway and then back taxi to the end of it. And then turn around and line up and then take off. Now, of course, it's a very high altitude airport, and it's quite cold, so you might have to take off, especially if there's clouds and it looks like rain or snow. You might have to take off with the anti-ice systems activated. Also on climb out, you'll really want to fly it by hand and climb as fast as you can. The runway we're taking off from, I believe it's 15. Of course, at both ends of the runway, the mountains just rise up pretty fast, so you'll have to kind of fly in between them a little bit till you can gain speed and then climb out. But this is really an airport that I would really only feel comfortable flying in and out of during the day. I don't know if they do it at nighttime in real life or not, but it's quite a tricky airport to get in and out of. And there's no ILS. The only instrument approaches, precision approaches they have is RNAVs.
Aspen Tower Jetset 11 ready for IFR departure runway 15.
Jetset 11 altimeter 29.70 wind calm. Cleared for takeoff runway 15.
Cleared for takeoff runway 15 Jetset 11.
Jetset, that's the name I picked out for my call sign for my charter service, and 11 just sounds cool. Here's the part where we'll turn to the right and back taxi the runway to the very end. The aircraft probably could have done just fine taking off from this point forward, but given the altitude, the mountains on either side of the runway, I didn't see any reason why I should leave usable runway behind me and just use the whole runway for takeoff, just for safety. And I would probably do the same thing in an even smaller aircraft that had good performance, but this is a kind of a medium-sized corporate jet that's somewhat heavy, and I think we're up at like 8,000 feet above sea level with mountains on all sides of the runway. It was just better to use the entire runway. And here I kind of rev up the engines to about 40 or 50%, let them stabilize, holding the brakes the whole time. Go to full power, go to toga, and then let off the brakes. Here I'm just rechecking the flaps and trim and all that good stuff. Landing lights. And ideally you should reach V1 before the halfway point of the runway. If you don't, you need to abort the takeoff. Beyond that point, you're committed to the takeoff. Gear up after positive rate of climb. I climb pretty steeply, but try to maintain it within safety margins.
Good day.
One tree 4.5 jets at 11. Goodbye.
And as you can see, there's a mountain right in front of us, so I kind of veer to the right and go between the valley until I can get a good enough speed to continue the climb out.
Denver Center jets at 11 is at 9,400 feet, climbing flight level 210.
Jets at 11, Denver Center altimeter 29.70 radar. Contact, continue to Cowdo.
And again, doing this by hand instead of flipping it directly to autopilot, because I can react much faster if I don't have to adjust the autopilot or get distracted with other things. I'm already flying it by hand. I'm much more aware of what's going on with the aircraft and the surroundings. Whereas when I immediately flip it to autopilot, I tend to get distracted doing other tasks. See, we're up at a relatively safe altitude at this point, above the top of the mountains. We can go ahead and start our left turn to get on course and head to our destination.
Denver Center generic November 4678 Tango is passing flight level 365, descending flight level 360. Generic November 4678 Tango, Denver Center radar. Contact, continue to...
I'd leave the landing lights or recognition lights on and the anti-ice until we get above this cloud layer here. Yeah, doing this at night in and out of that airport, I mean, those mountains, you can't see them. It just looks like pitch black at nighttime. I don't think I'd want to fly in and out of there at night, you know, under the best circumstances. Okay, we're pretty much getting lined up with our course, leveled out a little bit to our initial altitude. Above the clouds. I think I go ahead and switch off the anti-ice at this point, somewhere along the way. Yeah, there we go. Turn off the taxi light, turn off the landing lights, and flip on the recognition lights.
Contact Denver Center on 119.85.
If it'll work. There it goes.
Going to 119.85 jets at 11.
Now, even though the stock ATC in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 is really lacking, I still like to try to use it to make it somewhat more realistic. I do have a few key bindings for certain ATC responses, but I wish there was some way on Xbox to have a platform where you can actually talk into the mic and respond with your own voice. That would be a lot cooler and a lot more realistic, and somewhat easier too, because I wouldn't have to worry about what buttons to press for certain responses.
Airbus November 3019er, Hotel Denver Center radar. Contact continued to Bravo Uniform Mike.
See, there's me flipping off the anti-ice. Now the pedostatic ports, those stay on normal, and they're just on all the time when you boot up the aircraft and power on everything.
And following heading 105 resume on navigation.
At this point, I've had it on autopilot for the last several minutes, and pretty much once you align with your course and set the altitude on the autopilot, you pretty much just fly it on autopilot all the way to your destination. Unless I'm even on descent and coming in to an airport, I usually don't take over until right before the landing. It's just using the autopilot allows me to free up my time because I don't have a real life co-pilot doing much of anything. It frees up my time to do other tasks and punch in radio frequencies for the ILS if there is one, and set up approaches, what type of approach I've been assigned to do by ATC. And then I usually don't flip it off autopilot and auto throttle till about, I don't know, about a couple of miles from the end of the runway. There is times when it's just funner to fly it by hand, doing the whole approach by hand, but unless I'm in a small Cessna or something, I usually just do most of everything on autopilot except the last straight in approach part. I do that by hand. And now it's pretty much a straight shot all the way to Oklahoma City. About an hour's flight time, give or take. Here's a little outside view of the mountains that we just flew out of, and we'll be leaving the Rockies and heading for the flat plains of Oklahoma. And that's pretty much the video that I wanted to show. I'll probably do another video showing a tutorial on startup and shut down, doing it by the checklist. Most of the time I kind of cheat and don't use a checklist at all for a lot of my flights that I do.
Denver Center JetSet 11.
I just
Request flight level tree 50.
do the startup procedure and takeoff. Do it mostly from memory. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.
Climb and maintain flight level 290. Expect flight level tree 50 JetSet 11.